Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I never liked Christmas with Sandra's family. Too much performative joy, matching sweaters, people pretending everything was perfect when half of them weren't speaking the other 11 months of the year. But this year, this one was different. This one had a script. Sandra's parents hosted Christmas in their lake house every year, a big place, all glass and granite, with a giant fir tree standing like a trophy in the center of the room. There were about 20 of us, her side of the family mostly, a few co-workers she insisted on inviting. I stood by the window, watching snow settle on the railing outside and thinking about how quiet things get right before a storm. After dinner, Sandra stood and tapped her glass with a fork. "Everyone," she said, flashing that polished, public-facing smile, "before we open presents, I have something to share." The room quieted. Her sister leaned in. Her boss, Victor Palmer, raised his glass like he already knew the punchline. Sandra looked at me, held the pause, then walked over and handed me a white envelope. "Merry Christmas, Mark," she said. "It's time we stopped pretending." I opened it. One glance at the header told me everything. Petition for dissolution of marriage. She'd filed for divorce, no conversation, no warning, just the clean, cold sting of paper. Then her family started clapping. More like polite applause, like someone had just announced a scholarship. Even the ones who looked uncomfortable clapped anyway, following the lead. I didn't say a word, just looked at her. Then the envelope. And smiled. I reached into my coat, pulled out a small black envelope, and handed it to her. "Since we're exchanging gifts," I said. She froze. "What's this?" she asked. "Something you should open now." And so she did. Her face dropped at one. Sandra and I met at a charity auction in the city, the kind where no one cares about the cause and everyone just wants to network over overpriced wine. I was there because a client dragged me. She was there because she was climbing. Sandra was sharp, ambitious, and magnetic. I liked how she never second-guessed herself. She liked how I didn't need to talk to fill the silence. I was already a partner at my firm, mostly handling real estate litigation. She was a rising star in brand strategy. We were opposites, but that's what made it work. For a while, anyway. We moved fast. Dinners turned into weekends, weekends into leases, leases into rings. Within 2 years, we were married. I bought us a townhouse in Queens, renovated it. Sandra handled the decor, and I handled the mortgage. I covered more than my share back then, always did. Sandra's career was high risk, high reward, so I gave her room to grow. Picked up bills when her commissions were light. Never once threw it in her face. That's not who I am. By our 4th anniversary, she was working under Victor Palmer at her new firm, Palmer Creative. Big name in the business. The guy liked to call himself a visionary, which basically meant he had interns do the work while he took credit on stage. He was in his late 40s, always over-smiling and standing too close. Something about him rubbed me the wrong way from the start. I told Sandra that once. She laughed. "Victor's harmless. He's just theatrical." I let it go, because that's what you do when you trust someone. I kept my head down, built a name, bought a second property upstate as an investment. Sandra posted pictures like we were living a dream, and for a while I thought we were. But then things shifted. It wasn't sudden. That's the thing. You don't notice a house crumbling when the cracks are quiet. The late nights started. Work dinners. Client emergencies. She stopped kissing me goodbye, started making jokes that didn't land. "You're always so serious, Mark," she'd say, eyes already back on her phone. I started to wonder if she was still married to me, or just the life I gave her. But wondering didn't get me anywhere. So I watched. I waited. It started with a hotel receipt. I wasn't looking for it. Her purse was on the dresser, open while she was in the shower. I saw the edge of a folded receipt sticking out. A boutique hotel downtown. The date didn't match any work trip she'd mentioned. I didn't say a word, just slid it back in and made a note. The next few weeks confirmed what my gut had already whispered. Sandra's phone was suddenly face down on the table. Password changed. She laughed more at texts than at anything I said. "Who are you texting?" I asked once. "Emily from work. You don't know her." She didn't meet my eyes. The following Saturday, she said she was heading to a team retreat in Connecticut. I nodded, wished her safe travels. Then I made a call to Laura, my paralegal for the past 5 years. She was sharp, discreet, and had a talent for finding things people wanted to keep buried. The kind of person who didn't need explanations, just instructions. I didn't go into details. I simply told her I needed a private investigator, someone good, someone quiet. 3 weeks later, I had everything. Photos, time-stamped, Sandra and Victor walking into the same hotel, same lobby, same elevator. Their little retreats weren't subtle. Dinners, brunches, drinks where she leaned in close and laughed with her head thrown back like she was 19 again. There were texts, too. One of them had her asking him if he'd be at the lake house this year. That's when the shape of it all clicked. This wasn't just a fling. It was a plan. I made folders, hard copies, cloud backups, labeled everything by date, expenses, photos, calls, GPS logs. Laura helped me build the timeline. When I had enough to bury both of them, I asked her, "How airtight is this?" She flipped through the files and nodded. "It's a steel box. Adultery, misuse of shared assets, and if Palmer used company funds for any of this, that's corporate misconduct." "Good," I said. "Now help me draft something." "What kind of draft?" I looked her in the eye. "A clean exit." The hardest part wasn't collecting the evidence. It was pretending like I didn't have it. For 2 straight months, I kept playing the husband, Sunday grocery runs, laughing at her stories, sleeping next to her without flinching. She probably thought I was too dull to notice. What she didn't know was that I'd already moved half our liquid assets into a private trust under my sister's name, fully documented. Laura handled the paperwork, triple-checked every document. "Is this revenge?" she asked one night, sipping coffee in my office. "No," I said. "It's insurance." I also revised my will, made sure Sandra wouldn't get a cent if anything happened to me, locked down every possible angle. And the prenup? It originally favored her, back when she was earning less, and I didn't think twice. We'd agreed to revisit it later. She never followed up, but I did. Drafted an updated agreement, handed it to her along with a few tax updates during a busy morning. "Just the usual income stuff," I said. "Year-end cleanup." She didn't even look. I smiled to myself as she signed. In the last week before Christmas, she was glowing. She thought she'd won. I could feel it in how she walked, how she smiled at her phone, how she didn't bother pretending anymore. She had no idea I'd already packed my bags, not to leave the house, but to leave her with nothing. Back to Christmas Day. After Sandra handed me the divorce papers, she lingered near the fireplace, soaking in the attention. Her glass raised. Victor gave her a wink from across the room. Her sister clapped like it was a gender reveal party. I think she expected me to fall apart. Instead, I handed her the black envelope. Her fingers hesitated over the seal. "What is this?" "You'll want to sit down," I said. She didn't. She opened it standing up, probably thinking I wrote some sentimental last words or a begging apology. But her expression changed as she flipped through the contents. First, a printed hotel invoice paid with our joint credit card. Then, photos, grainy but clear enough. Her, Victor, together, arms wrapped. Next, printouts, messages between her and Victor. In one she wrote, "Once I file, we can finally stop hiding." Last page, a document list, a full disclosure of assets, transfers, and a copy of her own signature on all of it. She went pale. The room had gone quiet. I took a step forward and addressed her calmly. "Thanks for the envelope. I'll review the filing. But since we're being transparent, I thought everyone should see what's been going on. This isn't just a divorce. It's fraud, adultery, misuse of shared property." Victor's smile froze. He opened his mouth, but I cut in. "Victor, you might want to check with your board. I sent them a full packet this morning. Expense reports, hotel bills, surveillance logs. Pretty sure client funds were involved." Sandra looked like she couldn't breathe. "I'll be filing tomorrow," I said. "Under fault-based terms. Given the documentation, my attorney expects a swift judgment." Her voice cracked. "Mark, wait." "No," I said. "You made your move. This is mine." Her sister stepped forward. "This is really not the time." "Neither was announcing a divorce over dinner," I replied. Sandra sat down without meaning to. Her legs just gave out. "This party's been eye-opening." And I meant it. No one said a word for a full 10 seconds. Then Victor stepped forward, trying to regain ground. "Look, Mark, whatever's going on here." "Stop," I said. "You used your corporate card for 2 of those trips. That's embezzlement. I made sure your firm saw the time-stamped statements." He froze. "I don't know what you think you're doing," he started. "Cleaning up," I said. "That's what I'm doing." Sandra stood up now, finally finding her voice. "You're blowing this out of proportion," she said. "We were ending it. That's why I filed." I laughed. The first real laugh I'd had in months. "You think this is about jealousy? Sandra, I'm not angry. I'm efficient." She blinked, panicked. "Wait, Mark, you tricked me." "No, I gave you a pen and a choice. You didn't read. That's on you." Her father stepped forward, voice low. "Mark, surely there's a way to handle this privately." "I agree," I said. "She should have thought of that before dragging everyone into it like it was a toast." I turned to Sandra. "The townhouse is not in your name. Your credit card was removed from the business account. Check your phone. You've probably already lost access to the joint banking app. Your name's on nothing." She stood still, stunned, trying to figure out how fast everything had collapsed around her. "You'll get the papers by courier tomorrow," I added, "with full documentation and terms. You'll have your name. I'll have everything else." Victor slipped out of the room like smoke. No one stopped him. Sandra looked around at her family, her friends, and all the people who had cheered moments earlier. Not one of them said a word now. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "I didn't," I said. "You did." And then I walked to the door, calm and steady, because everything that needed to be said had already been. The cold hit me as soon as I stepped outside. Crisp, quiet, honest, the kind of cold that doesn't pretend to be anything else. I walked to the car, slid in, and sat there for a second with my hands on the wheel. I didn't drive off right away. I just breathed. Not angry, not broken, just done. For years, I gave Sandra everything she asked for: stability, support, a future with a plan. And she traded it for attention and office drama dressed up as passion. Maybe she thought I'd collapse. Maybe she thought I'd beg. She forgot who I was. I'm a builder. I don't burn things down. I quietly take them apart, piece by piece, until the other person realizes they were standing on air. She wanted a public divorce? I gave her one. She wanted a scene? She got the truth. As I pulled onto the road, my phone buzzed once. A message from Laura. "Confirmed. Palmer's board received the files. HR is meeting with him Monday." I typed back, "Thanks." Shut it all down. Then tossed the phone in the passenger seat. I just watched the road unfold in front of me, clean and wide. Some people think power is loud. It's not. Power is knowing what you have, when to use it, and walking away while everyone else scrambles. Sandra handed me a declaration of war in front of her tribe, thinking she was the one in control. What she didn't know is that I'd already finished the game 3 moves ago. And that envelope I gave her? It wasn't revenge. It was closure. I don't hate her. I don't even pity her. I just hope next time she tries to ruin someone on a stage, she checks if the spotlight's already burning. So here's my toast, the one I didn't raise that night. To endings, the real kind, and to gifts wrapped in truth. Thank you for watching.